Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy P-Funk. Thinking right out here in my lab. And yeah, I'm back in the book. I got a nice little lesson for you today. Might be a little lengthy, but we're going to do the ism, theism. We're going to talk about the symbol of God and the purpose of getting to know God somewhat. So let's talk about this right quick. I'm going to break it down for you. The sun disk was the first sign of God. Let's go. Right isms. 25 rules to live by. Storytelling, story with a message. There's always a message in my stories for life. I give you life lessons. You tuning in to receive them. I appreciate you. We got a good thing going. Let's do what we do. Right thinking mission is to enlighten, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Right thinking is way of life through mental and spiritual discipline, practice daily, will help and guide you to attain your goal of reaching spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. My mission is that all right thinkers know thyself. If you're a right thinker, your goal is to know thyself. See where we're going with this? Let's get there together. So I asked the question, do you know you? You will when I get through. That's what I do. For you, it's rhetorical, but if you don't have an answer for yourself, tune in. I got you. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. Don't be them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple, but you can teach them. That's why I do what I do. For you, appreciate you too. Stay tuned. I got more for you. A person who knows not and believe and think that they know is dangerous. Avoid them. I do. A person who knows and knows not that they know is spiritually asleep. I can awaken them. I'm the spiritual alarm clock here to wake you up with knowledge of self. Yeah, that's what I do for you. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right? They just know thyself and to might not be true. All right, we're going to talk about right thinkers, P-Funk philosophy on the first symbol for God with the sun disk. And I'm going to break that down. Then I'm going to go through the yoga philosophy and the world religious concepts from the monotheism, pantheism, and a few other isms. We're going to talk about theism. How about that? So let's go. The sun disk, this is what it looks like. And you can look at this a few ways. This symbol meant a few things. And we call it, when the hieroglyph is written, it's written what they call trilateral. It has a meaning for this, has a meaning for that, and it has a meaning for that. So it's three different ways you can pronounce or understand the hieroglyphs back in the day. So it's not easy to read or study. So again, but the sun disk is the universal sign, and it's seen in almost every yantra. Yantras are little drawings, but every drawing got a circle and a dot in it pretty much, and a symbolic diagram, which containing what they call mystical knowledge. Again, you can look at that. It look like a tit, a nipple. Okay, for me, I see it. I see the nurturing from the mother, from the tit. Yeah, that's what it look like to me. Now, maybe it's my perfect concept, but that's what I see other than just a dot in a circle. Okay, let's go. Use your imagination a little bit. Come outside the box, so to speak. But understand it. And then maybe articulate it by putting it where perspective of you can explain to somebody else. Not that you just weird. I see a titty. I just see a tit. No, it's like a tit to me. No, just explain why. So my thing, the nurturing, the dot is where the information comes from, and everything's in the potential. That's what the attention was. I know that. Moving on. All right. But in Indian Hindu, in the Tantra religious mythologies, it is also known as what they call the Bindu, the seed, the primordial origin of all things. They put it right here. You see with the dots and that? They understood that, okay? Models or diagrams are always faulty. Why? Because the limited human mind, okay, and because we are trying to use words and other approaches to understand a world which is beyond words and even symbols. So we're trying to articulate something that really is unarticulatable, so they're saying. But in ancient Egypt, how this they were smooth. Terms of like this segment Egyptian terms, the descendant of the Neter and the Neteru, the designations of the Neter God and the Neteru, aka the Nebuchadnezzar, the all-encompassing. I'll show you the picture of him, aka Pa Neter. And the reason we keep saying father, because the male part of nature is the one who brings it. The female part is the one that receives it. That's why. So, oh, you got to be male. No, it's all philosophical and esoteric. It ain't egotistical. When man started bringing his nonsense into it, it really get confused. But they got the pa netter, the father netter, are not to be considered as being in the same category as the netters. Netter is the one. Netter is the others. Okay, understand that. And I laugh because I never get. I'm taking my daughter to Michigan State for graduate studies, and I asked her a question. We driving father and son, total conversation. I asked her about God. Back then I was still grooving, and she said, "Which one, the God with the big G or little G?" I didn't understand. I didn't really know where she's going with that, but she was using her terminology of netter with the big G, netter with the little G. So we came to an understanding. So yeah, she's pretty smart. She have understanding. So I said, okay, you got no, you got it. And she got a guy who's a master doctor in thesis in what? Religion. So she got the right man. All right. But also, now while your high God and goddess forms such as those, as you ready, we have Asar, recognized in Egypt mythology. He's God in the flesh, the word made flesh. Why? Because he became the physical form, spirit made matter. That's what he represents, the spirit that's in all of us. We're his son. He's our father. And then you got Amun, the hidden one. That's God of all things. And you got Ra, the visible part of Amun. And then you have Aset, which is the wisdom aspect, intuitive knowledge. And they are all depicted as anthropomorphic, meaning deities. They have the heads of the animal which they represent. Amun represents the Aries, the ram-headed god. Okay, you see him, he got the horns back. When you see Ra, he represents what? The sun, or what? The falcon, like Haru. They represent the flying, that bird in the sky, the peregrine falcon. Man, he's a bad dude. But that's what your spirit is represented by. It's the baddest thing flying, running, going. So, and then I said she represents wisdom and intuitive knowledge. We giving you brain functions. That's what they were breaking down. 30 years I figured out they were breaking down our brain. So how smart was I? But I figured it out. Aha! All right, so here we go. So in all of my depicted anthropomorphic deities, they were showing you the skill of that animal that we possess in ourselves. So they have had a transcendental aspect which ties them to what? The absolute, aka God. They are like bridges which have one hand in time and space, other hand with the transcendental realm beyond. That's what Legba in the story of Crossroads, okay? He's connected with God, he also connected with you, and he's the go-between, so to speak. That's what Tahuti represents. Say, everybody got a concept, okay? So Netter, God, Netteru, or Nebercha, the all-encompassing, and Panetta are all what? Also the universal by the one spirit of the soul, of the self, excuse me. The entire spiritual world is based with God's spirit. It is the ba, or the soul, from which all souls come. And guess what? They on loaner. He want it back, but he don't want it tainted. You got to purify it. So to bring it back, it's got to be purified. That's your job as a human, to do that. What? To know thyself. Become conscious. Like they built King Solomon's temple. Only the best stuff was in the temple. You think, hello? Come on, y'all. You understand it. All this is esoteric teaching. But all souls come from, and including all human souls, all individual bodies, the self, not only created creation, but also sustains it when at every moment of time in creation since it started. He been a sustainer. He keeps it all together with the help of his what? Nadaru. Okay, his elements, his principle, his philosophical concept that we can practice and use and become closer to him in mind and consciousness. So the sun, aka our hearts, the earth exists, heart mind coherence, and they go what? On every day. Why? Because it is sustained by God. He don't stop. Once he gets started, it don't stop. That's the universe. It's constantly what? Growing. We can't keep track of it. Why? Because we ain't here long enough to see it. Why? We live in time. The universe don't. In the same manner as the sun supports life here on earth. It ain't here. It's way there, but it serves us. That's God supports the Son. He didn't want to put it there for that purpose. And the total universe, again, all is in His mind. He's all. And we can only expand and learn about in this big simulated world. Y'all, yeah, we're in a simulation. We're in God's world. It's a simulation. So the matrix, yeah. But the self is not located in the realm of time and space. No. As are other letters. Again, they don't deal with time and space. And you got three worlds, okay? You got Earth, physical world, the lowest of the lows. You got Duat, the intermediate world or the astral plane. And then you got heaven, what they call the casual. As they are all known in the Kemetic Egyptian system, we got physical, Earth, astral, Duat, casual, heaven. We had a total understanding and clarification, broke it down, explained it to you. I'm doing it right now. As they are known in the Indian Vedanta system, also the same philosophy. The self is what, listen, this is when it get good. I'm teaching now. The self is what causes time to exist, space, and the appearance of the physical objects to exist. Remember, he had to create duality. He had to have night and day in order for us to be here. Okay? 12 hours each. Ain't nobody winning that fight, and it's been going on since it started. Get the concept? Just like life, reciprocity. They feed off each other. All right. So now the self is what causes time and space. So now God is what we call the absolute reality. The self is what we know to be the universe. And it causes and what lies beyond as well. Again, that circle, everything is in there. The absolute is what truly beyond the description, again, by words or models. It's that undescribable, unintangible, unseen, unheard, untouched. But in order to truly understand and know the absolute, this is the one you need to pay attention, right? Because one must be one with the absolute. Well, how do I do that? My thing is daily meditation, living right, doing the right thing, and you will earn your way in because he recognizes that nothing else, not color, not race, not religion, none of that. He recognizes these done from the heart. So you must be pure of heart. How pure is your heart? And you only can answer that question. Why? Because you're the one who know your heart. You should know your heart. At Judgment Day, that's what they're going to know. How did you live? From the heart. That's what we call Maya. So you must transform from your ego personality, here we go, into what? Your Haru, God-like one, in order to what? Know God. Once you know yourself, you know God. You know your Haru, know your Father. Okay? I and the Father are one. Which is the same as knowing one's true nature. That's my mission that I'm on, to get all right thinkers to get that experience for themselves. That's it. I got no hidden agenda. I got no other purpose, no other reason. I'm just using, like my man Malcolm said, any means necessary. Anything at my disposal I can use to educate, enlighten, and motivate you. That's what I do for you. Let me wrap it up for you. It's getting good. I'm going to get it done. I got some more for you. I ain't done. We about to get to the good stuff. All right, here we go. So the goal for us to become God-like in order to know God, which is the same as knowing your true self. Why? Men are mortal gods. Why? We're ignorant of who we are. I just gave that lesson. I got this on the hop, but yeah, okay. But men are really mortal gods. Gods are really immortal men. Once you become enlightened, once you know yourself, that's your ticket to what? Immortality. You be going home to the Father. Y'all become one. And now you are what? Eternal forever. That's the spiritual and mental concept of our ancient ancestors about God in heaven and the afterlife. Excuse me. And the only difference between the afterlife and this life is you got to work in this life to get to the afterlife. If you ain't doing the work in this life, you keep living this over and over and over again. That's been understood. We've been knowing that for a while now, so that's not a profound concept. Or I just come up with something new. Nope, been nowhere a long time. But that's an ancient Egyptian proverb. It ain't changed. Okay, true, don't change. Know ye not that ye are God. Now that ain't ancient. That's the biblical concept, 2,000-year-old concept. Okay, mine is 5,000. Same thing. But whatever you choose, your call. All right. So understand this. All creation in the absolute realm is one. Ain't nothing new under the sun. So through the veil of what I said, who is what? Wisdom and into a knowledge, through the veil, which nobody can see because of what? The ignorance, the spiritual ignorance, it will appear as though creation is dual. I gave you my concept to show you, yeah, the oneness is God. Everything after him is going to be dual and consistent. So this physical world that we can live in is consistent of what? Even this world has what? Heaven and the earth. We in the physical part, that's earth. But heaven and earth is good. Heaven's a state of mind while on earth. But you got heaven and earth, good and evil, negative and positive, male and female, yin and yang, night and dark, right and wrong, creator and created, and so on. See where we're going with this? Everything has a what? An opposite. That's the 7 principles of Hermetic. Come on, man. And when you start studying and learning, all this stuff is like elementary. I'm saying come on because it's elementary to me. Sorry about that. But this appears, however, in an illusion created by our ignorance of our conditioned mental process, which identifies with our limited individual self by, instead of with our source, the universal, the self. The ancient Egyptian goddess Aset says, with her intuition and her philosophy, I am all that has been, all that is, or shall be, and no mortal, meaning these eyes are mortal, have ever unveiled me. You're never going to unveil your consciousness or insight with these mortal eyes. In the Christian Bible, it is written, no man have seen God at any time. That's John 1, verse 18. I agree. Why? God is not visual. His majesty, his stuff that he create, yeah, we can see all that, and that's what was here in nature, elements, all that. But the visibility of God, no, your third eye got to be able to see spiritually. That's what they're telling you. So mystical practice implies what? Implies shifting one what? Consciousness from what? Identifying with your individuality, your ego self, to identifying with your universality, your higher and true self. How is this done? I try to teach you every day. Accomplishing this shift is identification of who one thinks they really are. And knowing who they really are is the goal, is in effect the process of you removing the veil of ignorance of yourself. Now it is the process of you becoming what you already is. Haru, or Christ, Buddha, a saint, a sage, etc. You know you now. You have reached the level of what? Intellect, understanding of oneself, nihas, anointed with what? You and God becoming one. You becoming one with your higher self. That's the goal. And thus, now the symbol of the sun disk is at the same time a symbol that's depicting duality as well as non-duality again. So, hope you understand the concept. The circle is the duality. The dot is the non-duality. So it makes a lot of sense if you understand it. So let me get to this. Okay, now we about to get into the yoga philosophy and the world religions. These are all concepts, theisms, okay, a philosophy. So let's go with this. A philosophy over theism. Philosophy is proven understanding. Theism is conceptualized theory that they just want you what? To believe. And no factual evidence, is just believe this. So let's go with it. So mystical practice. Okay, now we're going to talk about yoga philosophy and the world religions. Yoga philosophy, that's right, thinker philosophy, is based on disciplines, again, that have been proven and developed independently as well as in conjunction with other religious philosophies. Again, it may be accurate to say what? Right thinker philosophy is a yoga, is a science unto itself. Again, not a religion, which religions have used and even incorporated into their religious philosophy, pick and choose what they like, and their practices by what? By relating the yoga principles to symbols such as deities, gods, goddesses, angels, etc. So the following is a brief description of what we know to be yoga philosophy but in comparison to what we know also as religious and mystical philosophies and dogma, which it developed alongside. They both been around. Let's talk about them. First, theism. Monotheism. Let's start with that one. If we had the one God concept in Egypt, and we said non-dual, that means one, that means one, that means one. We never had more than one God. We already had the concept, so let's talk about monotheism. Monotheism, by definition, is belief in the existence of a single God in the universe. We qualify. Christianity, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are the major monotheistic religions who all claim one God. That's what monotheism is. You got one God. But y'all all have a different name for that same one God. So who's practicing other polytheism other than y'all religious concept? Because you call him Christ, he called him Allah, and he called him Yahweh. Just putting it out there. So monotheism is supposed to be one God, but religious, y'all don't practice that. It must be noted here that the form of monotheism that's espoused by the major Western religions is that of an exclusive, personified deity who exists, in fact, separate from creation. That's where I get the wah from y'all. I'm done. If you tell me God ain't in the creation, I'm not listening to nothing else you're saying, but respectfully, I'm going to open my ears. But now, in contrast, the monotheism of the Egyptians, the Hindus, and even Native American traditions all envision a single supreme deity that is expressed as the supreme deity of all other traditions as well as even the phenomenal world. So where's the other guys at? We know one. Again, we know that. Again, let's talk polytheism. What's that? Okay, polytheism is a belief in or a worship of many gods. And this way they get the God concept really off track. God is one. The gods after him emanate from him, comes from him. So whatever y'all want to call him after that, we call him Netheru for a reason. We knew. Okay? But it's who function. We have many gods. Such gods, they usually have specific attributes. That's what the functions of the God. And God is the Paute, the what? Nature. Ra, Shu is air, Tufnu is moisture. We had all that laid out for you already. We knew who they was. Elements from the main guy. They say the same thing. Come on, stop playing that Minga around the rosy nonsense with me, please. Now, you look at some of the stuff they say, they contradict their own self. Okay, so let's go now. Now, pantheism. Pantheism is absolute pantheism. What that means? That means everything there is God. Okay, not an argument for me. Number 2, modified pantheism. What's that? God is the reality or principle behind nature. Okay, I can go with both of them. Pantheism, I got no problem with y'all concept of God. So moving on. I ain't got no argument there. But I can comprehend and understand. I don't argue what makes sense. I only argue what don't make sense. So panentheism. That's a term that was coined by K.C.F. Krauss in 1781, and he died in 1832. All right, but he said to describe the doctrine, this is man-written, God is immanent in all things, but also transcendent, so that every part of the universe has its existence in God. Okay, I agree. But, he is more than the sum total of the parts. All right, I just gave less of the 9 parts of the spirit, okay, or the soul. So I get that. I understand that concept. I can't argue that one. Now, this is right thinking philosophy. Why? Because it's Shita Nada. That's where I come from. This is an ancient religion in the ancient yoga and the Vedanta philosophy. Remember, it's philosophical. Monotheistic polytheism. Our ancient Egyptian religion and the Hindu Vedanta philosophy encompasses what we know as a single and absolute supreme deity, one, which expresses as cosmic forces, gods and goddesses, human beings and nature. I'm with that. That's where I fall. Right there. S space, that's what I represent, and that tells you what I do and how. We understand the one God encompasses through nature. I just told you air. I just gave the breakdown. Again, we know that. We understood that. So even human nature, I mean us. Number two, as the Shu taught letter, right thing philosophy follower, absolute monism, meaning only God is reality. There ain't but one. Whatever name you call him, we don't have a problem with. But knowing this one, all else is what? Imagination. And everybody have one. Number three, the final phase to right thinking philosophy and what we believe and what we follow, modified monism, meaning God is to nature as soul is to the body. Life. They asked my man, what you do for a living? He said, breathe. Moving on. Let's put that out there. I got that one this morning. I'm studying every day. Well, I told people who I listen to, I get information, I get philosophy, get concepts that I can come on and use. Again, now let's get down and wrap it up with you. Oh Lord. All right. Yoga philosophy. What's yoga philosophy? That's human consciousness and universal consciousness are in reality one and the same, but it's the human part that got to become conscious of its true self. So the ego will prevent that. That's why you got to conquer the ego to get there. So the human appearance or separation is the mental illusion. One second. Mental illusion and where we at? Yoga is the mystical and mindful, thoughtful, aware observer. That's you watching and taking control. Union with what? Your individual consciousness and your universal consciousness, aka God. One second. Yeah, sorry about that. I was going to end it, but I got one more paragraph. Let me get this in because this is selected spiritual categories compared. You have the sages of ancient times created philosophies through which it might be possible to explain the origins of creation. That's where everybody starts with the creation story. As we saw above, then they set out to create disciplines which could lead you, a person, to now be able to discover your spiritual truth of life for yourself. That's what I like. And thereby, you realize your higher reality, which lies beyond the phenomenal world, this world we see right here. But these spiritual disciplines are referred to as religions, okay, and spiritual philosophies. That's what I practice. And mysticism or yoga. All these is having disciplines that set forth that you can follow and you'll get where you want to go. What? To God. Below is a basic listing of world religious and spiritual philosophy. Oh, that's this other page. I wasn't going to get into that. But the following religious categories are presented so that the reader may gain a basis for even showing and comparing the varied forms of religious practices that are being discussed in this book. But the varied religions exist so that the varied personalities in all human beings may be able to practice any religion in accordance with their current desires and or their psychological inclination based on their level of spiritual development and maturity. You can choose anything you want to follow, to believe in. Just be 100% in earnest when you're doing it. That's what I say about anything. So I'm understanding with that. If you're a Christian, be a good Christian. That's all. And some of the religions presented as examples of a varied category that contains features that are from more than one category. In such cases, you got the number one beside the religious example that will designate the primary category of that religion, and the number two will signify the secondary features. And if the religions had more than one, It will signify that the religion has sects that exemplify more than one particular category. Note, while the polytheistic, polytheistic monotheism and pantheistic monotheism, they both contain elements of what we know as animism and the understanding that the universe is alive with spirits or souls is understood that there is a manifestation of the supreme being and not an independent reality. Somebody's in control of this whole thing. Yeah, we are in the matrix, we in a simulation, and that somebody is what we call God, all spirit, all conscious, all knowing, all present. Hope you enjoyed the lesson. I'll be back with the major religious categories for religious philosophies and different concepts. All right, thinkers, in closing, may you all let it be 100. Make 100 miles a day. So I never know my right thinkers who now understand the sun disk and the yoga philosophy and other world religions have passed away. This is good information that you can use to better yourself with. I did.